The illicit drug trade is undergoing a seismic shift, with Utah right in the middle of the deadly impact of opioids. The Deseret News has been running an ongoing series about this modern-day plague. And here to discuss their latest stories, reporter Chad Nielsen and assistant editor Jesse Hyde. Thanks both for being here. Chad, the headline reads, "How Pain Pills Took a Mormon Mom to the Depths of Opioid Addiction and Back Again." My first question is, how did you first hear about Whitney Morrel's story, and more importantly, how did you convince her to share it with you?
Well, I guess sometimes you get lucky. She's actually spoken a couple of times before, I think, to a police academy and a high school.
Different community groups and things like that, and you heard it. So when you approached her, was she open to the idea?
She was. I think she finds that it helps her she's been through something that's a very difficult experience and something she does not want to relive. Talking about it is hard, but it keeps it in the past.
The article points out that in 2007, Utah led the nation in opioid abuse, and that painkillers were something that suburban moms were taking. And her case is a case in point, really.
Absolutely.
Describe it a little bit.
Well, she had an accident. She broke her back,
right,
and was prescribed OxyContin and fentanyl patches. This was very normal. She had surgery. She was under a doctor's care. And over time, it just kind of spiraled for her.
It's a case we're seeing so much and so frequently that starts with an injury, legitimate use, and yet in this same article, it points out that often moms were going to the Rio Grande block. It was a known area where they could get their medicines once their prescriptions ran out, once the legal medications ran out. And so we're seeing that area that causes us so much problem now was even an issue then.
Yeah, and one of our goals here was, so many people drove by that area, and it's easy to think that you don't have anything in common with, people like that.
Right.
And so with Whitney's story, we really hope to put a face on this and help readers understand, this could be your mother, your sister, your daughter, and hopefully increase kind of some empathy and compassion.
Because it takes away that feeling that, oh, this isn't me, this doesn't, this doesn't affect me. I think we're seeing now with the opioid epidemic, everyone knows somebody or has a family member or something that faces this fear of opioid abuse or in some kind of involvement that way.
Yeah, there's definitely increased awareness around the dangers of prescription pain pills, where I think maybe 10 years ago there was this assumption, my doctor's prescribing this so it can't be bad. Now you're seeing a lot of people say, they go to the dentist and they say, I don't want, more than a few pain pills. So yeah, I do think hopefully we're turning the tide.
When Whitney was at her lowest point, what did it finally take for her to say, I need help or I can't do this?
Well, she said that over and over and over throughout the process. It's a story of trying to stop using something that was filling a need for her. And I think that's maybe one of the fundamental misconceptions is that drugs are all about a party or getting high and having a good time. And for her, it became, how do I get well? Because I'm sick if I don't get this drug.
I'm in pain. I can't live with the pain. It's often, again, it's become a common narrative. What are the takeaways that each of you have after working on this story for the better part of this year? It really has been a long process for you.
Absolutely.
Chad?
Well, like Jesse said, we think about heroin as something that somebody else does, or an addiction is something that happens to somebody else. But the only thing that they all have in common is that they have some sort of trauma or experience in their life that left them vulnerable to needing something to kill the pain.
Okay. What was your takeaway, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy for all of us to think that's not my problem, this couldn't happen to me. My takeaway in doing all these stories has been that it could happen to any of us. We need to increase awareness, and I think, whether we're parents or it's a friend or a brother, whatever, is just to be more aware of the signs of addiction and that there are ways to help.
Okay, great. Well, wonderful reporting. Thank you both for sharing some insights, and they can see the full articles in the series in the Deseret News. Thank you.